Hello everyone and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 252. We are only 1 week away from Shadowlands launch, which is very exciting. We've been waiting this for a long time, especially with the delay as well, which made the wait a little bit longer. With that, we will cover all the little things that might be important to cover and before everything goes away, and also cover the cinematics. We had a special CGI cinematic out today, which we will of course show you guys, and we also have the in-game cinematic to talk about. And yeah, we have a cat here. I think she's also very excited about Shadowlands. And yeah, any other news from the past week, we'll cover it here. Before we go on though, let me first introduce myself. I am Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia, and my co-host is the one and only lovely Perculia.
Hey everyone, thanks for the warm welcome. Seeing a lot of new faces in chat from the site. I run Wowhead, and we like doing the show every Monday at the start of the week to highlight what people are talking about on Wowhead, new site features we do, new merchandise, new cinematics, new data mining. And it's been a really big week with a lot of pre-patch updates. Sometimes I have a cat that shows up, but he is not here right now, but I'm sure he will be back later as well. So.
Yep. Yeah, usually Brightpaw is the one that keeps us company, and now we've got Luna's tail, apparently.
Yeah.
She's just chilling here on my desk, and her tail is just wiggling around. Oh, maybe Brightpaw heard that there's a cat here.
Brightpaw, say hello. Say hello, Brightpaw.
Hello, Brightpaw. Perfect timing.
He was rambunctious before, so we're going to put him back on the desk instead of my lap.
Oh, I just
there
noticed.
You go. What?
No, I just noticed my camera went slightly into your camera, so I could see Luna's face in your camera, but that's fixed now.
Oh,
all right, awesome.
Brightpaw and Luna on my camera.
Yeah, indeed. So let's jump into the most recent news. We have the very exciting cinematic where we witness.
Brightpaw, no.
Uh-oh. Is it touching microphone things again?
He unplugged it again.
Oh yeah, you sound like you're talking into a can again.
Brightpaw. He just
there we go.
It's not very. This cord is not very structurally sound, and he just sits on it, and then the tension, and he just pulls it out with the tension he causes by sitting on it.
Yeah.
I feel like they should cat-proof this better.
You hear that?
It's a great
Need more cat-proof.
Yeah, he just destroys things and unplugs things.
Oh, well, Brightpaw is a strong one, so.
Yes.
Very strong legs. But yes, we have the new launch cinematic in CGI style, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so why don't we show that off in case you haven't seen it yet, and then we can discuss some interesting things. And then I also found some concept art in the collector's edition book, which Brightpaw apparently likes too.
Awesome. So we can show that off as well then. Let's get to the cinematic and watch it together in case you guys have missed it. If you haven't missed it, it's nice to be reminded what happens in it. So let's go.
Yeah.
Beyond the veil lies the Shadowlands, where every soul has its place.
the veil lies darkness, where every soul has its place.
Yeah, there it is. November
Yeah.
23rd. Reminder, in case you forgot what date it is. November 23rd. I'm not muted, right? No. Okay, good.
No, we can hear you. It's
Awesome.
good. And my microphone is still plugged in, even though he's wrapped himself around it.
Okay,
so.
good, good. I just remember last time I kept talking as we were reacting to something and I was muted. But that's good. Sometimes professional streamer. Yeah, this launched trailer or cinematic, I think it was really, really cool seeing the different covenants like that. And it's also really interesting and it shows how successfully they've managed to make each covenant unique because you see just a couple seconds of the environment and you know which covenant it is because they're all just have these unique things to them. And yeah, the jailer and the winter queen, so many things. Perk, why don't you break this down for us and tell us your thoughts on it?
So I was very excited to see the cinematic, and it wasn't just a, oh, look, a launch trailer like we had with the pre-patch using the in-game models. This was a proper cinematic with really detailed CGI, highly rendered models, which to me is very exciting because it hints that we're going to have a series of these high definition cinematics, no Brightpaw, like we got with Starfang and Sylvanas in Battle for Azeroth and continuing the story of, Sylvanas and Bolvar in the expansion.
I don't want what you're saying to go lost. It seems like we're lagging a little bit. So
okay, we can adjust the realm if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. Are you able to do that?
Region Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you change it for us?
Let's try.
Okay, I didn't mean to play the intro, but I meant to just reset our Discord real quick. Okay, I think we're back.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Yeah, you sound good now.
Cool.
I talked too soon saying professional. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so I was saying that the style of the cinematic is exciting. It's in that highly rendered, highly realistic CGI style that we saw with Sourfang and Sylvanas in Battle for Azeroth. And Blizzard used those in BFA for highly dramatic story moments. So seeing those types of clips in this Shadowlands trailer hints that we're going to have a similar big epic story. And normally when Blizzard does a launch trailer, they take moments from in-game cinematics and kind of like splice them together. So when we see a few seconds of Ardenweald, for example, that could actually be part of, a proper Winter Queen cinematic that lasts for a few minutes, which to me is really exciting how Blizzard is doing this for so many characters now. It seemed like in BFA they only had a very small amount of characters that were highly rendered, and now maybe their tech is better. They've expanded to highlight so many characters in this art style and bring them in so they could tell multiple stories, not just one story. Something we were both curious about is why is the jailer in chains at the end?
I was like, that was the jailer, right? And I had to go back and double check, and I was like, why is the jailer chained? Have I missed something important? So I was like, I'm gonna go and ask the lore master. Hey, Perk, can you tell me?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, oh, this looks like the rune carver because he's crouched down and he has all the the restraints on him, and that looks similar to the rune carver's position. But then his head very, very clearly turns up, and it is the jailer with the close-up shot. So I wonder if this is part of a larger cinematic where maybe we see him in his chains at the start, and then we see him break free, showing how much he's powered up with all the anima he's been collecting, that he wants all the souls so he can break free of his chains, and maybe he puts the rune carver, the legendary guy, in his position instead, because it is really similar, the jailer's position, and then how we see the rune carver when you talk to him in Torghast.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really interesting thought as well. That perhaps this uh, launch trailer is indeed giving us different snippets of different stories that we will see. So having put so much work and details on all the different characters, and maybe each one of these different scenes that we see will then later become part of a longer story, slightly longer, a little bit more in depth into whatever that story is in particular. And I saw a comment in chat too, which I think was really interesting. The comment is by Who is QNX, and he says, I think when Sylvanas broke the helmet, the jailer got the last bit of power to break the chains.
I think that could be true, yeah.
Yeah, which goes along with what you just said, that that's probably a part of a little bit of a longer story of how he actually, broke free. And I think it's really cool that we may perhaps see that in a very high quality cinematic like that.
I also think that Sire Denathrius, in this image, he looks really sinister, and
Oh yeah.
the Dreadlord aspects of him, like the horns and just the body shape and the animations, that seems he seems to have a lot of similarities, because there's that theory that he's like, like he's related to the Dreadlords, like he was like the original like Nathrazim in another dimension, kind of masterminding things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not confirmed. That's just player speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But you really just get the sense with how he moves that he looks very demonic in that shot. But it's also, I don't know, it's also kind of funny. Like he's just all dressed up and he just like casually tosses someone into the
Yeah.
mob. Like, it's very
Mm-hmm.
charismatic.
Like, not only abuse those poor souls, but also just throw them off. Like, you've done your job. I'm done with you now.
Yeah, I hope we see him again for various raid cinematics, because Castle Nathria will be the first raid in Shadowlands, which is his, castle home.
Mm-hmm. At first, I was a
So,
little bit not upset, but I was a little bit sad that we wouldn't get a Bastion sort of themed raid first, because I love the theme of that. But
yeah.
I'm starting to appreciate the sort of Eventhyr look more and more the more I see it, and I think especially in this cinematic too, the part when you see the is it a skull, and then there's these red sort of sort of like smoking pouring things in the air that goes down. Yes,
Yeah.
that goes down to the bodies. That looked so cool. And yeah, I'm starting to really appreciate it. So it makes looking forward to Castle Nathria even more better.
Yeah. So something that I know we discussed when I first showed off the art book was how there was a lot of really beautiful concept art for in-game models, but then we noticed there were a few pages that had a different art style that was more like realistic and detailed, and we were speculating if that could be for a cinematic. And looking back at them, I think that was actually used for it, because all of that style artwork were of characters or environments that made it in. So I think I'll just show that off again.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have Sire Denathrius and his weapon, which, if you watch the cinematic, it's very prominently placed. As he turns around, you see the hilt of it.
I remember us talking about this.
Yeah.
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 You suspected it, the very high quality art, that it would be used in a cinematic of some sort.
Yeah, and it looks like it was.
Yeah.
And then the next one we have is the Winter Queen. So one image looks more in-game, like more flat color, and then the other image has like way more detail, feels more sculpted, feels more lifelike. And I was like, why would they have two versions of her? Maybe for different types of cinematics.
Mm-hmm.
This we've got two from Maldraxxus actually. The first, this looks really similar to the shot you see of Maldraxxus at the start, the one at the top, with the necropolis floating in the sky and the armies down below.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got that. Second, there's a lot of Maldraxxus art in here. It takes a second to go through. But yeah, we also have art of the guy from Maldraxxus with his cool looking weapon. If I can, there we go. And this is also a good example because here you can see how, he looks very rendered and polished, super detailed.
Mm-hmm.
But then this one is like, again, more flat, a little more cartoonish, not as much depth, but he is like super detailed.
Yeah. Yeah, good eye to notice that. So clearly the left one is considered for a cinematic, whereas the right one is not.
Yeah. And then we've got this, which was the opening shot of the cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this was also used for the Bastion mousepad you can buy. And
Mm.
then I remember at the time, we're like, why do they have these they've got the Kyrian art, but they've also got these other NPCs that don't really seem to be related to what you can wear. And now this makes sense because this is the NPC that you see fly into the center of the cinematic, and then the three of them sort of fly off before it goes into Ardenweald.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the armor they're wearing.
Yeah.
So those were some interesting pieces of art that seem to have been used in the cinematic, and hopefully we will see more of them in future cinematics.
Yeah. Big props to the art team. There's so many details in that video if you rewatch it that just you appreciate so much. Even the Moldraxus scene with all those things being shot onto the ground with the little explosions looks amazing. Looks really well done.
I really love the Winter Queen shot.
Yeah.
Just, she looks like so in charge, and it's nice to see Ardenweald before the anima hits it. Like in Afterlives, we saw a little bit of it, but it was mostly like brown and decaying. So it's cool to see it so vibrant and purple. It really makes the connection between the Night Elf and the Emerald Dream with a similar coloration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it did a really good job conveying the vibe of each zone. Even Revendreth is tough, right? Because they're doing the wrong thing, but you still get a sense of like the luxury and their kind of arrogance and how they're charismatic, even if you don't feel as sorry for them because they're causing the problems.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's strong feelings of not sorriness, but more questions. What are you guys doing?
It would be cool, like way later in Shadowlands, if the Venthyr get their act back together to see cinematics of them just like being normal. Because right now it's like doesn't really seem like you guys seem really corrupt.
Yep.
So it would be cool to be like, how can your society coexist? With actually not doing
not abusing,
not consciously terrible things. But yeah, so that was the cinematic. We got it this morning. Launched, a week before Shadowlands, and then we also today we got some pre-patch updates.
Oh yeah, that was unexpected.
Well. It was a big day for news. Yeah. So why don't we talk about the past week of the pre-patch, then what happened today, and then we will discuss another cinematic.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the event now that we've actually seen it?
I still feel quite similar about it from before. I think the idea of these, I think it was quite short in general. What you can do, there isn't that much to do. You go there, you unlock a few things, and then you're kind of done. I think it's I was a little bit skeptical at first, but I think it's actually pretty cool with the system of rares. And the reason why I thought it was kind of bad at first was it felt like a blind kind of just go there, kill, get your loot, leave. But it's caused a system of people talking to each other, asking about what rare is next, and grouping up together. And I think that in itself has proven to be more positive than I initially expected it to. But yeah, there isn't that much to do. It feels quite empty, and also the transmog, as we discussed last week, is a little bit disappointing because there's nothing special about it. The gear is very boring. It's a recolor of something that we've seen already, and it's not even a very cool armor either. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. I think The Nathanos as a world boss was a pretty cool thing, and also game mechanic wise or game feature wise, that it always drops a guaranteed weapon is really good for alts as well. So yeah, I like that part of it. What do you think about it?
I think that the rares, like, I feel I agree that there's not a ton in the event and it could be more robust, especially the rewards. But I do think that Blizzard, stumbled upon something good with the rares and encouraging organic socialization as opposed to like now you're going to do LFR altogether. So I think it's good that they created something that's created people hanging around, chatting with each other, arranging themselves in funny patterns on their mounts as they wait, discussing in general chat who is up next. I think all that is good, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they can use that knowledge to, in the future, use that to create more organic, positive interactions. Hopefully, they don't game it so it's like, oh, this is only up, like every like 4 days and it spawns at 3 a.m. so you must log in.
Yeah,
But I
no.
think that this was unexpected and people didn't really think that they would have fun chilling in Ice Crown, and the timing was also pretty good too. Like you could just sort of like watch TV, all tab
Yeah.
back in,
Mm-hmm.
follow a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people were pretty happy with how that turned out. So,
Mm-hmm.
something that wasn't super hyped up was kind of like the sleeper hit of this pre-patch.
Yeah, it really was. I was not expecting it to be fun or interesting in any way, but I found myself when in Ice Crown realizing, hey, the next rare will spawn in 5 minutes. I find myself trapped, like just flying towards it, just because, because it's like,
Yeah.
why not? Let's just kill it. And then you see other people there, and then there's the rare, of course, with the bag, which also makes it extra interesting. I'm not sure if maybe having more special items would have been better or maybe more frustrating for people if they're really
A
unlucky.
lot of people are really stressed about the bag. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm not sure either. Or maybe if you didn't get the item, they could have given you a sort of, some kind of token. If you have X amount
Yeah,
of
I
them,
mean,
then
if
you
there's
can.
so many stones you
Yeah.
can collect, turn the stones in for something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, the stones that already exist, maybe you could spend those to actually just buy the item that you're after. I think that could work as well because you don't want something to be too rare either. And that was the main concern in my head when I first heard about these rares. I thought that some of them would be more rare and more difficult to spot, and I thought that would be cool. So having them on a timer, I thought was boring, but I think it's good.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's actually pretty cool knowing which rare is gonna spawn and what they can drop, and then you go for it.
Yeah, so let's hop around a little in the notes. We'll return to Nathanos in a second. But on the topic of rares, they were appearing every 20 minutes on a 6 hour and 40-minute set rotation.
Mm-hmm.
But Blizzard changed it about an hour ago, right before the show,
Mm-hmm.
to where the rares appear every 10 minutes in the same order.
Yeah, even
And that
better.
means that it down to 3 hours and 20 minutes. So more chances for you to get that bag. You might not be able to AFK as much between spawns, but you should get your loot
Faster.
faster.
Yeah, so you
And
can get more
this,
alts.
yeah. So yeah, so we have updated Wowhead's front page to show this. Last week we added the Ice Crown Rare rotation, the next three that would spawn, and then the bag guy and the mount guy, always up. And we have now updated the trackers once more, and to show every 10 minutes. And in our invasions guide, the guide automatically updates to show what the next spawn is for both NA and EU.
Yep.
So, really happy with the support we've been getting on today in WoW. A lot of people were very excited for it, and we watched the traffic on Google, and we're like, oh, like who's up next? Oh, look at this NPC. It's like it's rising up in traffic, and then oh, look, the next the people just killed it. It went back down. The next one is rising up. So we're really happy. So many people are finding it useful, and hopefully it prevents you having to do some math equations because the time is set to your computer time, so you don't have to do all sorts of conversions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really nice that it's very simple. Simple
Yeah.
timers. Mm-hmm.
So that's what's up with the rares. And I think we should talk a little bit about Nathanos as well. Because as you mentioned, he drops eye level 115 loot, which is really good
Mm-hmm.
and, on par with the heroic raid. And it's also really good if you're into transmog because it has the appearances of the Dark Shore Warfront armor. And as people go into Shadowlands, you might find it a bit slow to get a group to do the Warfronts if you still need that Night Elf or Forsaken themed armor.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you had a. Oh yeah, you're gonna play the clip of this. This was really funny.
The roof one.
If
Yep.
you Yeah, he was a bit buggy at launch, like not giving people the right loot, or there's like a bunch of issues, and they were fixed. But one issue, which is apparently a feature, not a bug, is that if you stand on the roof, or go inside his house, if you go inside his house, he will target and kill you and yell at you that you're hiding. And if you are on the roof, he will like punt you across the zone. So he really does not want you inside his house. He is not really a welcoming host. And it
Yep.
just looks so funny. So.
Let me show you guys a clip here.
I have been waiting a long time for this. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Excuse me?
And off you go. Yep.
Eee.
So do not climb his roof. He will throw you off immediately.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is Nathanos, and he did not reset today, but he will reset with the weekly reset. So even though there was like new content, he's still on the weekly reset.
Oh, that's true. Weekly reset. Do you think he'll drop something else the next time? The next reset?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
So there's
think
no
he's
point to
probably,
rush it
like-
on alts then.
Well, I mean, I think if you need the transmog, you should like keep doing it on alts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, if the Warfront is annoying to queue up for,
Mm-hmm.
and like with the Warfront, you don't even know if you're getting a weapon. You could get like an armor piece or something else. So,
Gotcha.
if
Yeah.
you still need it, then
Mhm.
you should probably make sure you do them on all the alts to collect everything. Some unexpected things which popped up, which are apparently intended. The Argent tournament. If you are on the quest line, you cannot do those dailies because the Argent tournament is overrun by zombies. So this
Yeah.
is only temporary, but if you're working on the Crusader title, you're gonna have a slight delay with that.
Mm-hmm.
It started at first where you couldn't even zone into the instances, but Blizzard fixed that, so you can still farm, your tier 9 transmog at least. Also,
Good to
the
know.
Battered Hilt from the heroic Ice Crown dungeons, which gives you the really cool looking Quel'Dalar weapon and Sunwell questline. That is apparently now dropping all over Ice Crown. So it's still a really low drop rate, but if you're farming stones, for your rep, or farming things for your alts,
Mm-hmm.
you may
might
see
end up
this.
seeing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good for transmog, or if you don't care about that, they sell for a lot on the auction house, so the price is probably going down if people get more of them, but it's still really neat to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And all of this
And then
will
we
go
have
away
more.
once the pre-patch event is over, right?
yep, so all this, well, I mean, the Battered Hilt is still there, but yeah, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cannot get the bag,
Mhm.
when this is over. You can still get the Proto Drake mount, but you only in the dungeon, but the
Yeah.
rares are not going to be chilling out in the zone.
Mm-hmm. So if the Battered Hilt perhaps would go down in price, it would probably go up again later on.
When it's harder to get.
Mm-hmm. What sells for a lot? So yeah, the Battered Hilt. It's an item that starts a quest line that in the end gives you a weapon.
Yeah, like you go to the Sunwell and you learn about the origins of the original elf that used Keldalar, and then like you stick it into the Sunwell and you purify it, and then you get a weapon that's one of 4 appearances based on the type, whether you want like the sword or the mace.
Mm-hmm. And this item has, still been in the game this whole time, but been specifically a drop from the heroic dungeons in Wrath of the Lich King, and now it's also possible to drop from all the different rares and mobs that we see in Ice Crown.
Yeah, so like not even the rare spawns, but like the
All
areas
this,
that
yeah.
people farm for other things. So you could just be farming like stones or
Mm-hmm.
ore or cloth and
Mm-hmm.
get this item. And it's
Mm-hmm.
BOE, so that's why bind on use, so that's why you can put it on the auction house.
Yeah, yeah. So you can, yeah, indeed, you can sell it on the auction house or buy it on the auction house if that's what you prefer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we also had surprise news today. In addition to the Ice Crown Rares being up every 10 minutes, we now have more stuff to do. So this is live on NA, not live on EU, but it seems like they moved things up a day, I guess, to give
Yeah.
people enough time with, Shadowlands on a Monday. And more quests are available, and those quests unlock more Ice Crown dailies. And the zombie invasions have started in capital cities.
Mm-hmm. So how does it feel? Or have you not logged in yet, maybe?
I have not been. I mean, I've just been like covering this.
You're busy with Wowhead.
Yeah.
No, but we
I'm
haven't seen
still
an
very
EU
worried.
yet. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say that a lot of people were sad that the zombie invasions seemed nerfed from vanilla and
Oh.
Wrath of the Lich King.
Mm-hmm.
Based on PTR and beta testing. Um, it feels a little light. I think originally on the beta, the Ice Crown dailies only opened up in week 2, and then they got moved to week 1. So I feels like there
Okay.
should be something more. Like I don't know, I don't know, like another boss opens up, or you can, I don't know, like get more rewards. I feel like it's a little. I feel like a lot of the good stuff was in week 1, and this is more of like a follow up.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you participate in the zombie invasion, you get a cool title or like an item that drops. I feel like there just needs to be a little something extra to balance the weeks out.
Yeah, I feel like once the pre-patch event is over, unless you have the bag, there's nothing else to show off as I was there. And
Well, there's the broom and the pet, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
But
that's true.
yeah,
But
but
it's so
yeah.
hard to stick out with pets because there's so many pets in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I mean, there's a lot of titles too, but I feel like a title would be cooler. Or at least a unique transmog. I do feel like we're missing out a little bit.
Yeah, I still want that Wrath high definition transmog back in the game. I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember that with Legion, you could turn into the Doom Guard, and you could also talk to the cultists, and they could drop the weird pages for you, and then you could expose like infiltrators in capital cities and get the Fell Spreader. So I feel like the zombie event needs some sort of I did this weird thing and I got like
Yeah.
a little keepsake out of it.
Yeah. Oh, and someone in chat mentions, for example, a toy that converts us into something. Imagine a toy that converts you into a zombie.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
a
could be
great
cool.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's coming, but I do think it was good on Blizzard's end to move that up a day. So EU could have an extra day, because if it was on Wednesday, EU would really not have much time to do the event.
Yeah, that might have been the reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we have another cinematic that we want to talk about. And when you do the quest line and you kill Nathanos as part of the quest line, you get to see a special cinematic. If you just kill him as a world boss, you don't see him. But if you do the storyline, you do see this. And I think we should play it and discuss it a little bit, because maybe purposely it was kind of sending like mixed messages.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's watch it.
Yeah,
together.
let's do it.
Come on! Is this the best you can do? Now it's getting interesting. Your power has grown.
Where is she?
With him, of course. In the darkest place. Along with every soul burned to ash in your precious tree.
Where is she?
Go on. Kill me. You'll send me right to my lady. Beyond the veil, she's shattered. Oh, Tyrande. High Priestess. Night Warrior. Completely powerless to stop the coming.
For Teldrassil.
Yeah. So the Blizzard named the cinematic for Teldrassil, and that's what Turan says at the end, but is it really satisfying? Like, is this really for Teldrassil? Like, is there more work to be done? Like, who won the fight? It feels like this was sort of a stalemate that just moved things forward to the Shadowlands.
Yeah.
And like Turan looks like she is clearly more powerful than when she first faced off against Nathanos. Like she looks really like bored. She's not taking Nathanos's bait. She's not responding to his insults. She's sort of like shrugging him off, kind of like how Sylvanas like was like kind of like very aloof and like easily dodging Sourfang. I kind of got that vibe from it.
Yeah, that's
Except
true.
she didn't get upset. She didn't get upset when Nathanos was like name calling, but he says like, "Oh, if you'll kill me, I'll go to Shadowlands," and then she kills him, and it's like, well, why did she do that? Like, did her temper get the better of her, or did she realize, you know, we all have to go to Shadowlands anyway? Nathanos is getting up to a lot of trouble here. You know, I need to at least if he's off Azeroth, like we were moving to the next, you know, step of his battle. That's how I chose to interpret it, because, you know, what were they gonna do? Like keep him in a prison? Like everyone escaped from prison.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like Bane escaped from prison. You know, everyone that got you know, captured by the Valkyr, there was another person with them and they were powerless to stop it. So it's like, maybe just don't risk Nathanos being in the prison and causing more discord on Azeroth. Just send him back to the Shadowlands. And maybe Turan knows that, like, this isn't enough for Teldrassil. She has to go to the Shadowlands and learn more about things for her people. So it's sort of inevitable that Nathanos would be going to Shadowlands regardless if she kills him or someone else. Plus, like, he seems very powerful as well, because I'm sure he'd been, you know, benefiting from Sylvanas' powers with the jailer. So it's like, well, if she doesn't kill him, what if he starts killing or damaging other heroes? But yeah, I feel like it's not a total victory because he is still surviving at some point. But I wonder, he's like, oh, like I'll be with Sylvanas again, and she was pretty annoyed with him at the end of Shadows Rising and sort of put her past behind her and like blew him off. She was disappointed in him. and seems to be focused on her future and the jailer. So he may be in for a surprise if he goes to Shadowlands and she is fed up with him, or maybe she'll even imprison him because he failed her, you know? Like, it may
Yeah.
not be this happy reunion that he is expecting.
Mm-hmm. I think I think he might have also said that just to make her feel powerless, and I think it worked. I think it did annoy her, from the facial expressions. But I think, like you said, there's no point keeping him just alive. There's no point not killing him, even though there isn't much point of killing him either. I think she probably figured that now he's one step closer to being destroyed if she kills him here, and then she'll take care of him in the Shadowlands where she's planning to go anyways because that's where Sylvanas is. So
Yeah, I mean, like, what if he was in a prison? Sylvanas would just send Valkyrs to rescue
yeah.
him. Like, do you want that again? I mean, she was the only one that escaped Sylvanas's Valkyr the first time, so she knows what type of threat they could be.
Mm-hmm. And it's always better to
Yeah.
get closer to destroying someone or something rather than giving up just because there's more steps. It did feel a little bit empty in a way when she says for Teldrassil because she didn't really do
Mm.
anything for Teldrassil. But I guess it's just to show us where her current strength and her current motivation comes from. I think that's why it was mentioned.
Yeah,
And he
I
was
think
also
it
poking
was.
fun of her, or not poking
Yeah.
fun, he was ridiculing it, describing the Shadowlands as where all the ash is from the tree.
Mm.
So he was definitely just trying to make her mad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's a lot of characters in WoW are like, oh, like Tyrande is so upset, and like, she didn't help us with the Zara lore, and like I hope she's not, you know, consumed by vengeance. And I think it's important to show that she may be struggling with the Night Warrior powers, but she is not like totally blinded. Like, she is focused on Teldrassil and Nathanos continuing to be really horrible and saying these, gross things about Teldrassil just shows like, yeah, like her anger is justified. Like, here's a reminder, like she lost her place. She is focused on Teldrassil, and it's not like, oh, she's just angry for the sake of being angry, and why isn't she, content? It shows that there is still more to be done to look out for the souls that were stuck in the Shadowlands, and there's more rebuilding that has to be done than just taking out one person with it. Like, it's a long healing process of making things right. Like killing Nathanos did not bring the Night Elves back to life, and I think it's very interesting how uh, the cinematic ended with a shot of her, just by herself. Like, she is still feeling like really alone and isolated in this situation.
Mm-hmm. I think it could still perhaps be argued that it is a an act of revenge since the death
Oh, it is,
of
yeah.
him isn't 100% justified. She could just leave him because he doesn't matter. But at the same time, it's also understandable that she would try to cut off his lifeline at least by one step. And maybe she also figured that if she sees him in the Shadowlands, then he might. Maybe she'll have an easier time finding him in the Shadowlands than finding Sylvanas. So maybe she can use him to get even closer, maybe.
Right, because she's probably thinking like, oh, Sylvana sent these Valkyr out to capture us, and she sent Nathanos back. So there's probably a big plan going on, and if she kills Nathanos, he can't mess up more things on Azeroth.
Mm-hmm.
He's, stuck in the Shadowlands.
Mm-hmm. And she
I
also
also
looked pretty
wonder,
angry.
yeah, I also wonder, like, in the Shadows Rising book, it explains more of her personality and like the conflict of being very upset and her more peaceful personality. And it comes across that before all this started, like she was a skilled battle priest warrior, but she wasn't. She was showing a lot of mercy to injured animals, and I feel like it wouldn't be in her nature to just like keep Nathanos and like torture him. That she'd rather just give him a clean death as opposed to doing something like drawn
That's a
out and
good
more
point. Yeah.
sinister.
She did not decide to torture. That's a
Yeah.
very good point. Because that could be argued to show that it's not just blind revenge. She doesn't just want them to suffer, she just wants to destroy the people who destroyed things that she loved.
Right. And you know, if he was left alive, if he's like in prison, it's like, well, he could just, I don't know, do something terrible to Hygel or, you know, something else with her people. Um
Mm-hmm.
I do think it is a little I think that the problem that people have when they're frustrated with these cinematics is that we only it's like we're reading a book, and like maybe we're like in this epic trilogy, and maybe like bad things keep happening to the protagonist, but at least if you're reading a book you see the lighter moments, and you like it's not all doom and gloom, and you know you can read the book as fast as you like or skip ahead to the ending. But in this situation it's been like 2 years since Teldrassil, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, now we're checking back in with Tyrande after a patch. Oh, look, you know, she still is not feeling satisfied, and the Thanos said something horrible again. Okay, let's cut back to other people for 3 months. Oh, look, you know, Tyrande is still sad. Like you're not. It's just you're sort of only seeing her at her lowest, and after every sort of negative, sad cinematic, you like you want something satisfying, and it's been drawn out so much that I think people are impatient to actually get a sense of where the story is going. And I think some people feel that Blizzard is trying to. I don't know if it's true, but I think they have a sense of like, oh, Blizzard is, you know, saying, oh, both sides are the same, or they're trying to make everyone sympathetic, and oh, look, Tehran killed someone, she had her revenge for Teldrassil,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling a bit cheated by the final payback of the story. And I'm not sure how Blizzard would do this, but I feel that if we knew more where this was going, or maybe we had more of a spotlight on Tehran, showing her being more nuanced, or getting a sense that the story was not just Nathanos escaping while insulting her, it would make people feel more hopeful about the story. Because right now it's like, oh, look, the Nightborn are flourishing, the Blood Elves are flourishing, and oh, look, the Night Elves are just sort of, you know, feeling like outsmarted by Nathanos again. And it's, you know, it doesn't really feel that fun. Because, like I said, you know, Teldrassil was 2018. That's a, you know, that's over 2 years
Has it
ago.
really been that long?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that's a long time of like, oh, look, they lost this, and oh, they sort of got Darkshore back, but Nathanos, you know, killed two of her loyal lieutenants, and you know then she disappeared for BFA and didn't even face off against Ashara, her past arch nemesis, and oh look, now she's stronger, but Nathanos is still bragging he got his way. It just feels I can see why people feel a bit impatient with the uh story,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of moving at a slow pace and only kind of showing um kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the downer moments.
I
So
guess Blizzard just has to make decisions on who to prioritize
right.
when. So
Yeah.
Tyrande just couldn't have her moment because they knew that it would make more sense to have more emphasis on her later. Um, what's the point of showing her fighting Sylvanas or other people? If she was suddenly fine with what happened until Drasil and went past it, then maybe her actions now wouldn't make sense anymore. So they have to show, they have to give a sense of Tyrande has been gone, and she didn't do anything with Ashara, and she has her own road, her own idea of what has to be done, and the alliance leaders disagreed. So maybe this was the best way to show why she's angry and why she's now becoming what she is, the Night Warrior.
Yeah, I think that's all true. I think it works better in a different medium. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard is trying to tell a very interesting story with like politics where, you know, one faction, you know, one group clearly did something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and then there were other allies that she has that maybe didn't help her in a supportive way or don't understand her anger, and she also needs to like go on a learning experience how to use her powers
Mm-hmm.
properly. um but like it's hard to tell in a video game where you check in with with the character every like
Yeah.
year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope they see the story through. And it's also weird when I remember when they did the pop-up book, some of the marketing has been a little weird surrounding Teldrassil. When they did the pop-up book, they're like, the marketing was all, haha, Sylvanas likes Teldrassil page best, fire is fun. So it's hard you don't want the marketing to be all like jokey and like not getting it while they're trying to be super nuanced and like prestige storytelling on another side.
Yeah.
Um
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I just feel like um the dynamics in the cinematic are interesting. It just doesn't feel super great if you're, a night elf to be like, oh, we last saw Tyrande in, the Darkshire Warfront where she lost to Thanos. Let's check in a year and a half later. Oh, look, he's
Yeah.
still insulting her. Like it's just it's like and it's like, okay, what are we gonna get in another, year and a half? Like,
Yeah.
them facing off in Shadowlands and then like
Actually,
he
true.
escapes
It might
again.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually might
So
happen in a year because yeah, we're expecting them to see each other again.
yeah. So yeah, I just think it's a little too spread out for how like traumatic and difficult like the story is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy that we did see the cinematic, and they had Tehran doing some pretty advanced like animation moves, so maybe that means we're going to see her doing some cool stuff in Shadowlands, since her model seems like really up to snuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's about it
Yeah, I
for.
think
Oh,
that's
we
it on the
actually still have
cinematic.
Alliance and Horde leaders, which sort of ties
Yeah.
into what we were saying about Tehran, because a lot of them were like, "I hope she stays focused on Teldrassil," and it's like, yeah, I think she is.
She's tried.
Yeah. One
Yep.
second, I'm gonna put the light on. It's getting kind of dark here.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah. So why don't we highlight the Alliance discussion? We've got Chandris, Talia, Shaw, and Greymane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, these pop up as soon as you see the intro cinematic we highlighted like a month ago, where we see Sylvanas carrying off Valkyrie again. Is like, no, but I won't help Anduin.
Yeah.
Um,
That scene looked so silly. Or am I
yeah,
alone thinking? Did you think it looked silly too?
yeah. Like I just so with the other three, like Blizzard was clearly trying to show that the person's friend was powerless to help them,
Mm-hmm.
but we also saw the Valkyr approaching. With Gen, it's like they just picked Anduin up in front of him, and I don't know, needed something else. Like he just, I feel like the in-game animations and expressions did not quite rise to the moment there.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it was
like
kind of like, oh, why didn't you do this before?
yeah, like he just sort of sat around there. Like maybe we needed better facial expressions to show that he was like petrified, or like I don't know, maybe he had like some sort of panic attack, maybe thinking about his son like paralyzed by fear, but it felt a little wooden.
Yeah, or
um
maybe a little bit of a fight before he gets caught. Like, it was too easy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So on the Alliance side, we learned from Chandris that Tyrande had evaded capture. um and she seems a little worried that Tehran seems very ferocious with her power, and foreshadows that maybe she'll have to pay a price, which is true. But then it's also like, well, I don't see anyone else coming to kill Thanos besides her. Like she kind of has to do all this on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also there was a dialogue in 8.3 where Chandris was like, "Let's move forward," and Tehran was like, stuff is still really bad."
Mm-hmm.
And then Talia, the Talia again thing is hilarious because she learns that Bolvar is alive
Yeah.
by overhearing Ken talk, and it's just like, how incompetent. That's so
Yeah.
embarrassing on the Alliance to just not tell her and then just casually drop it as she's overhearing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, to her credit, she's very excited to see her father. She's not repelled by him as the Lich King, and it's interesting because Gen and Anduin were all like, "Oh no, like we can't tell her, like yeah, he's gone," and she is just really happy that her father is around in some form.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Actually, a
it's
very
nice.
mature response considering everything.
Yeah, and it's also like they just totally misread the situation. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Anduin and Talia, talked. Like maybe they'll get together." And it's like he keeps avoiding her, and now she's really angry at him for hiding this. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting things off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
Um, and then Shaw is interesting for two reasons. The first is that in Shadows Rising, we learn when he's like captured that he's maybe like rethinking the constant working and the intrigue and like actually wanting things for himself but feeling guilty. And his dialogue is like kind of sad because he's all like, "Oh no, I was trying to like find happiness and I didn't watch Anduin as well as I should have." And it's like, no, like don't blame yourself. Like Greymane did nothing. Like, don't, you don't have to put
Yeah.
like all faults on yourself. So it was kind of sad. But then the conversation, which was more interesting, was how I think we discussed this in the past, how Shaw was hinting that Turalyon was maybe not the best leader, and Greymane has more political expertise. And Greymane's like, "Hey, let's not get into this, and we'll put Turalyon in charge. Like, we're not gonna say I should be king." Like,
Yep.
he's trying to diffuse the situation,
Mm-hmm.
which could hint at future alliance unrest if Turan seems pretty frustrated with the lack of support among the alliance, and Turalyon is like doesn't really like the horde, is very kind of has like more questionable methods of doing things.
Also,
Gen
he
fully
might actually
supports
support
Anduin.
her.
Right. Gen fully supports. He doesn't like Sylvanas. Gen is also affected by, what's happening with the Night Elves because Teldrassil was the Worgenhome.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see a split in how different groups want to go about things.
Mm-hmm.
And now Anduin is stuck in the maw, so all these leaders might run amok.
Yep.
And yeah, then we've got the horde side,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because we have some like sort of neutral characters there as well. We have Agra, which it's funny, like we didn't see her for a while, and people are all like, "Is she dead in the Sour Fang cinematic? Like, did the assassins
Yeah.
kill her?"
Yeah.
And she's clearly not dead. Um, and it seems like she is among all the other leaders holding her own,
Mm-hmm.
and she's still around. The children are still around, and she needs to stay in Argramar to like keep like leading and taking care of her family.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Kalia, which was one of the interesting ones because everyone was really worried that she was going to try to take Sylvanas' position, and she was not really a Forsaken. Like she doesn't even look like them, and she actually says that uh there was she just says that she wants to help everyone. She thought that she understood the Forsaken, but she really didn't. She wants to aid those who feel abandoned and alone. She wants to help everyone, everyone across Azeroth. So she kind of implies that she doesn't really want to, you know, rule the throne, and she's working with Lillian Voss,
Mm-hmm.
who also has a line, and she's trying to make clear that maybe she once supported Sylvanas, but she learned that she can't trust everyone, and she doesn't want justice, vengeance, retribution. She just wants a future, and she wants to help lead the Forsaken. And she has decided to lend her voice to the Horde Council and represent them for a time. So, if anything, Lillian is more in charge, and I think people would be happier about that because,
Yeah, it's more
she,
fitting.
yeah, and like, she had a really cool storyline in Mist of Pandaria where she
Mm-hmm.
was, going back into Scholomance. She has a backstory with the Scarlet Crusade. And she has really lived the life of Forsaken, and she's also shown empathy when they turned the Tidecaller into the Forsaken in Battle for Azeroth. She helped provide for his family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she would be an interesting choice, and having Kalia as more of like a intermediary between the Alliance and the Horde, and helping like the Night Elf Rangers that got turned that are trying to rebuild.
Yeah, I think Kalia definitely would make it a little bit closer from the Alliance side as a bond. And uh, also, I think what's interesting with Kalia, since she looks so different, maybe that would, in a way, open up more possibilities of players getting more customization. So that's also a possibility. And we know how much there's been focus on customization or just allied races in general. I feel like Blizzard has put in a lot of effort and time into giving people the power to change how you look, and I think it could be interesting to see if it would be possible that more customization would open for undead.
Yeah. Another interesting character that's present is Valera Sanguinar, because she helps both factions, and she even says so. She says, "Make no mistake, I have friends on both sides." But in BFA, we saw her more assisting with the Alliance side of things, and here she is in Orgrimmar, so maybe they're trying to actually drive that home that um, she may have been working with the Alliance more in BFA, but she doesn't have any beef with the Horde. It's
Mm-hmm.
it was more against Sylvanas. And there's a really interesting dialogue between Kalia and Valera, because they're both not they don't align themselves with one faction, and they talk about how um, they sort of they shift between both worlds. She says, "We have much in common, I think, both caught between two worlds, belonging fully to neither. Yet being able to move between them offers certain advantages." And then Kalia even repeats that, Lady Menethil is fine. Kalia is even better. I gave up my claim to the throne long ago. So again, like, she's not interested in taking over Undercity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they just sort of talk about how, they think Anduin is a good king. Um, they blame Sylvanas for things. Kalia feels kind of hopeless that she's trying to help, but she just kind of messed things up. Um and it's an interesting exchange, because you wouldn't have thought these two, it's a very like unlikely combo pairing of characters, and they do have a lot in common, but you wouldn't have sort of picked them to be friends. Like, they just seem to have like really different storylines,
Yeah,
and now they're coming together, which I think is cool.
I think that's cool too.
And it seems like they're trying to do more with Valera, actually. So who knows? Maybe she'll play a role in Shadowlands. Like, I know she, besides the Rogue Hearthstone hero, she's one of the characters that had a pin with
Ah, yeah.
with Blizzard for BlizzCon, and it wasn't a Hearthstone model like Illidan. It was her WoW model. So
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so maybe, and Thrall had a pin too. So maybe this is, I don't know, hinting that something would be going on with her. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think more of these characters that are neutral um, is interesting, especially with how things are kind of at a truce now, with the Horde Council, and then Anduin's coalition at least trying to be more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, interesting dialogue. Again, you can talk to them after seeing that intro cinematic. It's like a 5-minute quest,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn a lot about what they are thinking.
And with talking to them, it's just clicking them, right? Like just an opening
Yeah,
dialogue, which changes to these that we just went through once you've watched the cinematic.
yeah. So before we go into some feel good stories and apparel, I think we will call out some subs.
Yeah, I wanted a quick shout out to Makian, who resubbed for 15 months in a row. So thank you very much, Makan, for supporting Wowhead, and Rada Kurth with his 24 months, totaling 2 years of supporting Wowhead. Thank you guys for subscribing.
Yeah.
And now
So
we
yeah,
can go on to some feel good stories.
yeah. So for the first story, Blizzard added a bunch of BOEs, epics that are probably, going to be a lot of gold making currency for top rating guilds. when Nathria comes out. These are all BOEs, and many of them are named after community figures. In the news a while back, we highlighted how there was one for streamer Des Mephisto, who does a lot of optimizing leveling runs and has a billion warriors.
Yeah.
And we reached out to some people at Blizzard, and some of them agreed to have their items be public as well. And some of these items, range from the senior game producer, Blizzard merchandise, senior web front engineers, people who have written blog posts, UX researchers. There are a lot of items. So
Mm-hmm.
it's cool when, um, people see their items in the game, especially if it's tied to a class that they play. For example, Zinc, who's actually one of my friends, he's babysat Brightpaw before.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
he plays a rogue, and he has Zinc's subtle shank, which is an agility dagger. So it's cool when there's that link between a real life person getting honored, and then the item is not only named after them but has like a little reference to their character. So we have a post up in the notes that's highlighted 5 because those are the people that explicitly told us that they were
They're
comfortable with the
okay with.
connection.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, more of them are named after employees or kind of community figures as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really cool whenever Blizzard adds, whether it's an item or a character or any other kind of thing as tribute to people. Always really nice to see it.
Yeah.
The
So
community matters.
yeah. Another cool story we had is that there's been debate, like for the past I think year, over the reigns of the Bengal tiger because this was a mount like added in vanilla WoW data that never made it to live, but
Mm-hmm.
people noticed that on the armory you could see it like in the mount journal, but being untracked. Um, and there's even a funny story why it didn't make it into the game. Apparently, Chris Metzen really didn't like how in promotional materials the Night Elves were riding like bright orange tigers, and he's like, no, they cannot ride the tigers. They must, ride like night sabers and dark
Yeah.
cats. So
What the
there are these
hell,
mounts
Chris?
that were yeah.
So it's your fault. Okay, now
Yeah.
I know who to be mad at.
Yeah, this was actually, I think Tom Chilton discussed it in one of those like little WoW Classic spotlights that came
Mm-hmm.
out leading up to Classic launch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, kind of going back to the social nature of Ice Crown rares. This player was waiting for the Ice Crown rare to spawn and noticed this character on the Bengal Tiger mount and was like, "Hey, I've never seen this before. Where is it from?" And the player explained this and then gave permission to make the story more public. And this was a Make a Wish mount that was given to Amara, the person who was also behind the Jennifer secret. So that is really cool. I guess she really likes cats.
Yeah.
And this is a one of a kind mount. It won't be available to the public. Only she is using it. But then, the Jennifer Battle Pet, which was created in tribute of her own cat, was a secret that we can all complete, and we can get the little chubby cat for ourselves. And she has also made a fund for fibro liver cancer research to raise awareness and help raise funds for the type of cancer that she has. So it's a really sweet story. It's cool that she is getting that unique mount. You can know she really loves cats if she has a secret for her cat. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a really heartwarming story. It's nice when Blizzard can do things like that.
Yeah, I agree. It is really nice. Although we need to get that mount too.
Yeah,
No,
I
but
mean,
it is really
yeah,
nice.
there
It's a
are
really
other
nice
mounts.
gesture.
There are other mounts without saddles, like the Golden Saber Cat and the Tawny Saber Cat,
Mm-hmm.
that are still unused, and Blizzard could put them in. I think that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
So keep the striped tiger unique, which I think is fair. I mean, it was from Make a Wish, and it is a unique situation, so keep that unique. But maybe bring back some of the, um, you know, other mounts that Chris Metzen didn't like back in the day and put them into the game.
Yeah. I think it's also really nice that she was open with sharing her story as well. Because it was, from
Yeah.
her point of view, just a random person who whispered her. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we actually back when it was data mined, she left like comments that were kind of making it obvious who she was on pages, and I think people were like reaching out and not being appropriate, so she like we were asked to like hide references and
Oh.
take down an article we wrote. So like we knew the link for a while, but we weren't going to put it on blast until it was public with her permission, just because people get weird about mounts. So we were like, hey, this user, on Wowhead says that she has the mount. That's really cool. Check it out. It exists. And then apparently people weren't nice. So
Yeah.
now that we have the full story and like an article we can link to, we're more comfortable sharing this to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So
Always
yeah,
risky
really
being
nice.
online with too much attention. There's always some bored, bad people,
Yeah.
sadly. But it's nice to hear that, because that also probably means that she does have more confidence now, and hopefully those the bad people won't come back. Hopefully.
Yeah. I think the secret, gave a lot of confidence and positivity too, because the fundraiser is doing pretty well, and like, people are just really happy to get cats. Everyone loves cats. Speaking of, where is Brightpaw? He hasn't been here for the show. Brightpaw, where are you? Oh, he's little stinker. He is in my old chair behind the computer, fast asleep. So I guess the chair is more
Oh.
comfortable than pulling out the microphone every 5
Yeah,
minutes. But
yeah. I actually always
good
catch my cat sleeping on this chair. So if she's not on bed when I wake up, I walk into this room and she's sleeping here. Sometimes it's just around stream time, so I'm just like, you know what, guys? Stream canceled because someone else has taken my chair. She really likes the chair.
well, and good news, at the end of the show, I can pick him up because he's really close by.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had some last minute merchandise that came up. Something I even forgot to put on the notes, but we had a bunch of new T-shirts that went live today as part of Blizzard Gear Fest. Not gonna lie, I feel like this is not Blizzard's most creative apparel drop, but I think it's because of COVID. People aren't really going outside and dressing up for special occasions. So this collection is mostly T-shirt as opposed to like, cute leggings or dresses or like more elaborate sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
But for what they are nice T-shirts, and I appreciate how they're in several cuts. The WoW ones are several pieces of apparel with the Jailer logo on it. And it's in like very gray, black, and gold. So you could dress it up a little bit, and it doesn't scream World of Warcraft. So you can, kind of geek out without like looking, like super like I'm a gamer. You could actually like wear this out. And then there is a very subtle Bolvar jacket, and at first it doesn't really give off Bolvar vibes, but if you look at like the coloration with the orange and blue, it is Bolvar, and there's this very interesting detailed patch on the side of Bolvar's weapon with the skull and the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's sort of like casual. It's like I don't know, like what if Bolvar was AU, or Bolvar is just like a human, like he could wear something like this. But that's cool in its own way. I just prefer like also having like more creative things that aren't just t-shirts. But I could see why they didn't go as hard on apparel this time because of it's just no one has anywhere to go.
Yeah,
Like,
people are not buying as much clothing as they used to.
yeah, I mean, you had this too for BFA. You got one of those elaborate hoodies. Like I had the Andron one. I think you got Sylvanas.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
remember.
they were super deluxe with like the quilting and like the fancy
Mhm.
zipper, and
Mhm.
they didn't really do anything like that this time for Shadowlands. But I still hope they do. I think it's a missed opportunity not to do Covenant specific clothing with how
Yeah.
much they're branding like the Covenant as you get your own transmog and armor. I think it's like just missed that they're not doing a whole line of like Covenant shirts. You could even do like interesting women's merch with it, like an Arden Wield like drapey thing would be
Yeah.
cool. Like it's very artistic. To me, it lends itself better to creative merch than like BFA, where it's like, oh look, two people yelling at each other on a battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
But
actually
yeah,
true.
I would like to see more. I would like to see more, but I understand why maybe they were like pushing, like the Thrall statue and the mouse pads and that stuff more over, t-shirts where we're not even meant to go outside really.
Maybe they want to wait with the Covenant choice merch for when people actually have made their choice too.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have a
Um,
merch drop later on with that. Also, I'm currently wearing a Bolvar t-shirt, which is this was a collab thing, I guess you could call it. It's Blizzard with Jinx, and
yeah.
Blizzard sent it to me, and I like it. I think it's cool.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was on the shop earlier. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that the black shirts with the accents are neat.
Mhm.
Um, there's also a really cool Diablo. It's a mixture of like a denim jacket with black with like snaps, but it also has a hoodie and it's got a cool graphic of Lilith on the back. And I think that looks really cool, and it would be cool if they had that in Covenants as well, in my opinion. You get like a very
Mm.
simple, grungy looking front, and then on the back you have like a stylized picture of the Covenant leader. I think that would be neat.
I'm trying to look here. Do you have a link to the one that you just
Oh
described?
yeah, if you 1 second. Let me. Okay, there we go. We made the post after the notes came out because there's been so much going on, so I'm
Mhm.
adding it. Okay, there you go.
Let me open that. Ah, I see it here. Yeah, that looks cool. And I love the very dark of the dark shade of black and then with the red and white details like that stands out a lot
Yeah, so I could see them doing that for Covenants as well. I think that would be neat. And like you could have the Covenant crests on the
at the
back
back.
with,
Mhm.
and then on the front you could have like the little version of the logo
Yeah.
embroidered on.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that would be interesting, and you could even just have them be all black, but have different and have the color just come from the logos.
Mhm.
And everything goes with black.
Yeah, they could
So
definitely make the logos stand out a lot. And yeah, and on black we can even see here from these canvases that I have at the back of my room here.
mhm.
That's each covenant as well. So imagine that at the back of this kind of
Yeah,
jacket. It would be really cool.
yeah. So fingers crossed they're releasing more. I was a little disappointed there wasn't more WoW merch, but again, a lot of people are not going out. Maybe some people are like, I didn't exercise as much with COVID. Like, I want to lose some pounds before I buy more clothes.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that is a thing. Like, even some
Oh
like
yeah.
clothes places I buy from, it's like, oh, we usually do more like tight fitting things we sell, but we're doing like flowy things, in the past
Oh,
few
you mean the
months
actual
because
shops are actually considering that? Like the I
yeah,
mean
or
the
just like
companies.
yeah. Yeah, I mean like you just
Yeah.
you just see what's selling and then like you notice shifts over time that certain like more comfortable like styles, more leisure wear is
Mhm.
popular, things that aren't as like form fitting,
Mhm.
bathing suits are not really as in
Sure. Yeah.
things so you just notice that things have changed and people are probably if they're splurging on things maybe they'll buy like a new game system or they'll be decorating their office. They'll be doing other things besides buying clothes because that doesn't really have any value
Yeah. Mhm.
now.
Makes perfect
Finally,
sense.
one thing I forgot to put in the notes, which I just did now because it also came after so much news today. Um, Blizzard also released the art print of the like Bolvar key art where he's got the mace and then Torghast is in the background. So you can actually
Mm.
buy the art prints now for your office or living room. And this I don't think it's a big deal either way, but this was sort of it felt a little random. You can buy the art print and then get the Warforged Nightmare mount for a special price. And to me that feels a little random in terms of uh you know like the Warforged Nightmare is
Yeah.
a nightmarish steed of hardened steel and vengeful spirits. This companion will follow you to the depths of the Firelands and back without complaint. Like it's not really screaming Iceground to me. I don't know if they're like it's fiery and red like Anima and Shadowlands is Anima, but for whatever reason, you can get these two things together and save some money if you I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's cool they're trying stuff out. It just feels a little random to me.
Mhm.
And then what's also a little different is that you can get the Exploring Eastern Kingdoms book with this mount as well, again for a discounted cost. So yeah, the art print it does look pretty cool. Everyone loves Bolvar, and I guess the mount I think is one of the more expensive ones because it comes with the toy. So if you didn't buy it, it is probably a decent savings with this art print.
I'm trying to show the art print too. Here we go.
Yeah, if you go down to the purchase versions of the print separately in the article, you can see all of them.
I can also show how the ad looks. Like that.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of looks like Bolvar, like thematically. So maybe
Yeah, I
that's
guess
why.
it's like kind of like spiky. And I think a very similar version was used for the Wrath of the Lich King Time Walking mount. So I can see that, but it's also like I don't know. I
Yeah.
think maybe a better use for shop mounts. Like maybe instead of I don't know. Like maybe it'd be interesting if they rebranded the shop mounts more to like get like a physical thing, so it felt more like a luxury thing. I don't know. It's just interesting when you start putting shop mounts in the mix, especially when they feel unrelated. But if you are saving money, like I don't really see a problem with it. I do think it does feel a bit unrelated though. Like I remember
For
back in the
sure.
day when you got the Griffin plushie and then the Griffin pet, like that was more
It's more fitting.
that felt more fitting. But yeah, so I think that's all we basically had for news. But we want to highlight we are doing a show next week, even though Shadowlands comes out, and we're moving the show up a little bit so we we're not we can do Shadowlands when it goes live as opposed to having the show run into that.
Yeah. So normally we start the show at 10 p.m. My time, which is CET, and 1 p.m. CST. No, PST. PST. For people living on the side of the world where Perk is. But what we're gonna do instead is get the show running 1 hour earlier. So the show will start 3 hours before the launch of the game. That gives us a 1 to 2 hour window to do the show and still give us about an hour to get ready to log into the game. We thought this was the best way to do it, especially considering that I would like to stream straight after the show. So I don't want that break to be too long because I'm going to try to sleep.
You're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to sleep as much as possible during the day and the afternoon. So I don't want to wake up, 5 hours earlier to do a Wowhead show and then have nothing to do for 5 hours.
Right.
So we thought this was like a good trade-off for people to not feel too stressed and also have something to watch while waiting for the expansion to launch. And we're also gonna have a secret guest for the show.
Yes. Also, because like today is Newsday, since we started the show, we have learned that Blizzard has bumped up the Naxxramas attunement in WoW Classic from December 1st to today. And the patch 9.0.2 is coming tomorrow on live servers. There's going to be long maintenance. And in preparation for that, Blizzard has nerfed a bunch of BFA trinkets. So I guess the last week of the expansion might not feel as fun.
They're already nerfed?
On the beta it is, not on live servers. So like the Torment in a Jar is nerfed, the Manifesto of Madness, the PvP badges received a big nerf, and this also affects the Shadowlands PvP trinkets because there were burst issues with all that. But yeah, there is. I'll link it to you in the notes, Annie, if you're curious. So yep, a bunch. Oh yeah. Oh, finally, the Highborn Compendium of Storms is getting a nerf because that was the OP crafted trinket from 8.2.
I just bought it.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be nerfed, so.
It's like, I bought it in the past, I disenchanted it because it was no longer good, and then I bought it again.
Yeah.
Because it became good.
I don't know if people were concerned at Blizzard that like these were scaling too well into Shadowlands. Like maybe you don't want people at max level going back and farming these while you're waiting for the raid to open.
Yeah, I mean, that would be horrible.
Yeah. But yeah, I think people right now are just like, why? Like I'm why is my stuff being nerfed? Like going into BFA. I know Blizzard is super busy, but it does help when they can, explain why there are nerfs. Because this was just what we're doing via data mining, and we every day they change. I think the Friday ones at 11 p.m. It's just like continued stream of changes, and we don't have any blue posts on these, and we're just like, look, there are changes, everyone.
Yeah.
Have fun. So it does feel kind of like the Wild West, and you do have to wonder that if data mining wasn't a thing, no one would know that all these trinkets are nerfed. And like you might have bought something and then been like, why is it worse? Why is it bad? Am I playing bad?
Yeah, I would probably just blame it on myself. Like, okay, well, my class has changed enough for me to just not do well anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just I know Blizzard's super busy, but I do think they have like really good communication at the start of Shadowlands explaining things, and I think I know the pre-patch is like a very weird transient time, but a lot of people are coming back, and I think it would have been good to explain these trinket changes some more, because it's a lot of them. So
I know that
there's a bunch from Mythic Plus too.
I know that there's a few clips circling around in PvP on beta where people are getting one shot.
That.
Are those the new trinkets that are coming, or?
I believe those are the new trinkets because the PvP nerfs were not just to BFA trinkets; they affect the Shadowlands ones too. Okay. So they've nerfed the Shadowlands ones that give you a primary stat. They have nerfed those as well with this update.
Because I think the trinkets that are helping people one shot are not the PvP trinkets. I think the PvE trinkets, which are causing problems.
No, I saw those too. Like that's something I've been curious about, like the Kalthos one, or the trinkets where if you would have died, then like instead you deal damage type of things. And I've been wondering about that because like we see the spell diff and we look for them and we're like, those don't seem to be changed. But maybe Blizzard is not focusing on them first because the competitive season isn't out for a few more weeks after Shadowlands. But yeah, I have been that is something we have been looking for when we look at the weekly data mining. And yeah, just a brief note on that as well. The formal builds that happen like every Wednesday, where Blizzard takes the servers down and then we have a bunch of changes, that has sort of stopped now that the pre-patch in Shadowlands is so close, and instead Blizzard is sort of just like keeping the servers up but like silently pushing changes. So every night we compile the changes they steadily push throughout the day and give you a summary. So we assume last week we had a post every day, and it seems like it's starting up again.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff is changing. Like
and those are the ones
the
considered hotfixes.
Yeah. Because the game is like in the release state, so you can't. It moves into another state, so you have to just like keep pushing these via hotfixes. It doesn't mean that they're minor changes. It just means that they are applied differently. And there's a lot of big things. It's like, like Elysian Decree is now like this got nerfed, or this item got nerfed. A lot of things can happen via hotfixes, and I would imagine that they will keep being hotfixed as even at the start of Shadowlands before the raid opens. So if a covenant seems really good on one day, you may want
It
to
might
plan
change.
for that, but
Mm-hmm.
it might change because Blizzard can easily change things now. It's not like 5 years ago where it was a more complicated process, so they only waited for patches to change things. Like they can just like tune a knob and it's like, oh, 50% stronger now.
Yep. Which hopefully won't be too big of a deal because I can imagine people getting very, very upset if they pick a covenant based on how strong it is, and then the next day it's nerfed and they no longer want that covenant.
Yeah. But yeah, we are trying to work on our covenant guides and updating our recommendations regularly, because we know people are curious which ones seem useful in certain types of content. So we're trying to um, not like lead people on too much, but if people, if you want to prepare, we'll give you an explanation, but we're not going to like rank things because we'll be, updating things every day at this point, which isn't very helpful
Yeah,
to
no.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we skip a
It's
day and Blizzard
frustrating.
drastically nerfs things, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, like now everything's out of date.
Yep. Indeed. Yeah, and I think that was it for all the live news.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll have even more stuff next week, and probably like a lot to talk about 2 weeks from now because we'll have all the leveling cinematics, so that would be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Um,
And next week, again, just as a short TLDR, we will have a show. The show will start 1 hour earlier, and we aim to make sure that we end at least an hour before the launch of the game as well,
Yeah.
to give us all a little bit of time to get ready for the launch.
So yeah, thanks for joining us. Oh, let me get Brightpaw 1 second.
Okay.
Be right back.
All right.
Brightpaw, baby.
Perk will get
Hello,
Brightpaw.
Brightpaw. We're going to say goodbye to everyone, and you're going to join us. Yes.
I wish I could just decide to go and get my cats, but nope. My cats are way, way too lively in their feet, running away everywhere.
Cat. And now the cat is here.
Oh,
We love the
he's
cat.
here.
Yes, we love the cat. I'm gonna put the headset on while holding the cat.
Also, a quick shout out to Eli the Stig,
Brightpaw.
who subscribed
there we go.
to the channel. Thank you very much for that.
Awesome. Okay, I can hear things now again. And we have
Awesome.
a Brightpaw.
Welcome back. And hello, Brightpaw.
Yes. He got a shout out on the Warcraft account today because
Oh,
I posted a
yeah.
picture of him. He sat on my computer, and just the way his body shifted, he opened up the Shadowlands leveling guide on Wowhead. So I posted a picture of that he was learning how to play his class, and they said he was a good cat.
Yeah, I saw it on my page. I was like, hey, Perk, Warcraft just responded to you.
And then I got cat hair on my keyboard. So
Oh, of course.
he-
I'm trying to find it so we can link it here too. Here it is. Good cat, they said. Good cat. There it is.
Alright, good cat.
There it is. All right, are you ready for a high five?
I think I am, and he's being very calm right now.
Yeah, he's happy.
Yes.
Looks happy.
Yes.
Looking
So-
forward to the expansion, leveling himself.
Yes, he's gonna play a feral druid, aren't you, Brightpaw?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, well,
So,
you can go ahead with the countdown whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1.
There it is. High five
Yay.
over the internet, keeping
And
safe,
Brightpaw's
social
shaking his
distancing.
Yep.
Oh, and Brightpaw's very happy too. See you guys
Yes.
next week on the day of release. 9 p.m. CET and 1 p.m. PST. And yeah.
Wait. We're 9 hours apart. So,
Oh.
noon.
Oh, it's noon.
Yes.
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 Even when I try to think really hard, I still mess it up. Time zones are difficult. Okay, so it's noon PST, 1 p.m. is the normal time, and it's 9 p.m. CET because 10 p.m. is the normal time. That's
Yes.
it. Okay, got it. Perk has also confirmed that I said the right thing, so there it is.
Yes.
If you follow the channel, you'll be notified when the show goes live. You can also follow us all on Twitter. You can follow the Wowhead Twitter, Perk's Twitter, my Twitter. All the links are below, and we always tweet out the show, so that is an easy way to keep track of the shows so that you don't miss it. And yeah, feel free to have a small little waiting party with us as we wait for the launch.
Yeah.
Maybe I should bring some snacks with me for next time.
Yeah, bring snacks. We'll have all the cats.
Yeah. I think that sounds like a
we'll
great
have
time.
a special guest too that we will reveal closer.
True. We will have a guest too. Until next
So.
time, everyone. I'll take this one question from random uneducated viewer. What class will you level in Shadowlands? Warlock for me. What about you, Perk?
I will be leveling my rogue and my demon hunter, and Brightpaw will be leveling a feral druid.
Yeah. I think Maya and Luna will also be leveling feral druids, although one of them might go healing, because healers are useful.
Yeah. I feel like Luna is like a very, very calm, very, very good healer.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's it. Warlock forever. That's me. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. See you all next week.
Bye. Have a great week.
Good luck, everyone, and feel free to share what classes you guys are playing in the chat, both here and on YouTube in the comments as well. Do we have any more Team Warlocks, or maybe perhaps Team Rogues, or Team Cats, Druids,
Yes,
maybe?
Team Cat.
See you all next week. Bye!
Bye.